Hello, dear friends. I'm Alder Santos, and welcome to our channel, Baseball Legends. Few players in Major League Baseball history have managed to combine raw power, natural charisma, and a spirit of perseverance like Andrés Galarraga. Known as El Gran Gato, the Venezuelan stood out on the field for his offensive power and defensive elegance. But it was beyond the foul lines that he became a true legend. With a captivating smile and a magnetic presence, Galarraga wasn't just a feared slugger. He was a symbol of joy, resilience, and Latin pride. His journey goes far beyond 399 home runs or numbers in the stat sheets. It's a story of love for the game, of battles won against the improbable, and of inspiration that transcends generations. Born in Caracas and shaped on the dirt fields of Venezuela, Galarraga defied the odds from start. At a time when few Latin athletes had room to shine in MLB, he didn't just make it, he dazzled. His rise, marked by moments of glory with the Montreal Expos and especially the Colorado Rockies, revealed to the world a complete athlete. Agile like a cat despite his imposing frame, and wielding a bat that seemed loaded with dynamite. However, what surprised most throughout his career was his ability to reinvent himself. Even when life threw at him an enemy no athlete is ever trained to face: cancer. Watch this video until the end and find out how Andrés Galarraga turned a brilliant career into an eternal legacy. And then tell us in the comments, what moment in the Big Cat's journey moved you the most? The year 1999 could have been the end. A devastating diagnosis, an entire season away from the field, and an uncertain future. But Andrés Galarraga chose to write a different chapter. He came back, stronger, more human, and more legendary than ever. His triumphant return in 2000 wasn't just a personal victory. It was a historic moment for sports worldwide. This is the story of a giant with a sharp bat and a generous heart, a warrior with the soul of a cat, an eternal idol who turned pain into hope, numbers into legacy, and the game into inspiration. Andrés José Padovani Galarraga was born on June 18, 1961, in the vibrant city of Caracas, Venezuela, at a time when baseball was already the most popular sport in the country. The son of a humble family, he grew up playing baseball on the streets and empty lots of the Venezuelan capital, where his natural talent quickly began to stand out. From an early age, it was clear that Galarraga had a special gift for the game, not just because of his unusual physical strength for his age, but also due to his dedication, focus, and passion for the sport. As a teenager, he started playing in amateur leagues and youth tournaments, where he drew attention for his power at the plate and his commanding presence as a right-handed batter. His talent caught the eye of professional scouts. It was in the Venezuelan Professional Baseball League, LVBP, playing for the Leones del Caracas, that Galarraga began to show his true potential. Little by little, he earned his place on a roster full of veterans, proving that he wasn't just a promising youngster, he was a future star. His ability to hit hard to all parts of the field, along with his calm yet determined demeanor, won over coaches and local fans alike. It was only a matter of time before he attracted attention beyond Venezuelan borders. In the early 1980s, the Montreal Expos, always vigilant in the Latin American market, sent scouts to Venezuela in search of promising young players. Galarraga, with his raw power and defensive potential as a first baseman, was quickly noticed and soon received an offer to sign with the Canadian organization. In 1979, at just 18 years old, he signed as an amateur free agent with the Expos and was sent to the minor leagues in the United States. For the young Venezuelan, it was the beginning of a challenging journey. Far from home, dealing with the English language, and adapting to a new style of play and life. In the minors, Galarraga went through several phases of adaptation. He played for teams such as Calgary, West Palm Beach, and Jacksonville, facing faster pitchers and more organized defenses than he was used to. Even so, his ability to hit long balls and his consistent defense kept him progressing steadily. Despite some struggles with strike zone discipline, something that would follow him throughout his career, he continued to improve, gaining strength, experience, and confidence. In a short time, he went from a promising prospect to a real asset, considered one of the top talents in the Expos farm system. In 1985, Galarraga was finally called up to make his Major League Baseball debut, wearing the Montreal Expos uniform. His debut marked the end of a long journey that had begun on the dirt fields of Caracas and the beginning of a new phase in his career. Although his first games were an adjustment period, he quickly showed that he could compete at a high level. It was clear that the young Venezuelan had matured and was ready for the challenge. The solid foundation he built in Venezuela, both technically and emotionally, prepared him to handle the pressures of professional baseball in the United States. The beginning of Andrés Galarraga's journey is a true story of overcoming odds and Latin American talent. He represented a generation of Venezuelan players who began to gain recognition in MLB, and his presence helped pave the way for many others. More than that, Galarraga became a symbol of hope for young aspiring players across Latin America, proving that with hard work, courage, and dedication, it was possible to rise from a modest upbringing and reach the top of the baseball world. His name was beginning to gain recognition in the United States, but in Venezuela, he was already a national hero. The long-awaited MLB debut of Andrés Galarraga came in 1985, when he wore the uniform of the Montreal Expos for the first time, a Canadian team known for its heavy investment in Latin American talent. After several years developing in the minor leagues, Galarraga finally had the chance to show the world his potential. It was a historic moment, not just for him, but also for Venezuelan baseball, which saw one of its own reach the highest level of the sport. Still adjusting to the faster, more strategic style of MLB and the pressure of playing in a demanding market like Canada, the young first baseman began building his reputation quietly. But it was already clear there was something special about him. From his earliest games, Galarraga displayed solid defense at first base, a key position on any team. Despite his sturdy build, he had quick reflexes and a natural instinct for covering the line and making difficult plays look easy. His nickname, El Gran Gato, the Big Cat, was beginning to make sense. He was imposing on the field, yet moved with surprising agility, impressing both coaches and teammates. Additionally, his calm and hard-working presence in the locker room began earning the trust of veteran players and the coaching staff. Galarraga wasn't a player who sought the spotlight, but his quiet and efficient performance was beginning to speak for itself. At the plate, his early years required a learning curve. Galarraga always had a powerful swing, capable of sending the ball far with ease, but he faced challenges in adjusting his timing and strike zone control against the league's experienced pitchers. Even so, little by little, he gained confidence and put up respectable numbers. In 1987, just 2 years after his debut, he had a standout season with a .305 batting average, 13 home runs, and 90 RBIs, catching the attention of the press and fans alike. He was no longer just a promising talent. He was establishing himself as a key piece in the Expos offense. His time with the Expos was essential in shaping Galarraga as a player. It was there that he learned to deal with the highs and lows of MLB, the pressure from the media, and the physical demands of a long, intense season. The Canadian team served as a school for him, providing not just opportunities on the field, but also support for his growth as an athlete and a man. The solid foundation he built in Montreal would be crucial for the glory years that would follow. By the end of his tenure with the Expos, Galarraga was already seen as one of the National League's most promising hitters, with the potential to become a star, and that's exactly what happened in the years to come. Despite the obvious brilliance of his natural talent, Andrés Galarraga's early years in Major League Baseball were a real roller coaster. After his debut in 1985 with the Montreal Expos, many expected him to quickly become a dominant offensive force for the team. However, that rise wasn't immediate. Galarraga struggled with recurring injuries, particularly to his hands and knees, which disrupted his rhythm and made it difficult to maintain consistency throughout the seasons. These interruptions affected both his offensive output and defensive presence, making it hard for him to string together solid stretches of play. Still, even during tough times, he showed flashes of brilliance, especially with his power at the plate. In addition to the physical injuries, Galarraga also had to navigate the technical adjustments needed to adapt to the MLB style. His aggressive hitting approach, which worked well in the minor leagues, needed refinement when facing more experienced and strategic pitchers. He struggled to control the strike zone and was prone to being struck out by curveballs and off-speed pitches outside the zone. This was reflected in his high strikeout numbers, making him, at times, a high-risk hitter. Critics often pointed to this imbalance as an obstacle to him becoming a star. However, Galarraga was not easily discouraged. With a strong work ethic and patience, he continued striving to improve year after year. Even with all the challenges, Galarraga was beloved by Montreal fans. His charisma, humility, and will to win made him a fan favorite. Gradually, these qualities began to merge with a more mature performance on the field. Starting in 1987, he had his first truly consistent season, hitting over .300 and standing out both offensively and defensively. The media began to recognize him not just as a power hitter, but as a complete player capable of contributing in multiple aspects of the game. While there were still ups and downs, it was clear Galarraga was finding his identity as an elite athlete. By the end of the 1980s, he had overcome the most turbulent phase of his adaptation and was entering his technical prime. In 1988, he was selected for his first All-Star game, an important milestone that symbolized his place among the league's best. That season was one of the most productive of his career up to that point, with over 90 RBIs and flawless defense at first base, earning him national recognition. It was the beginning of a more stable and promising phase. Galarraga had passed the typical physical and mental tests of an MLB career and was now ready for greater heights, which would come in full force in the years ahead. Andrés Galarraga's arrival to the Colorado Rockies in 1993, the franchise's inaugural year, marked a turning point in his career. After a brief and underwhelming stint with the St. Louis Cardinals, few expected him to reinvent himself at 32 years old. But that's exactly what he did. The Rockies took a chance on Galarraga's experience and potential for resurgence, and he responded spectacularly, playing at Coors Field, a stadium famously favorable to hitters due to Denver's altitude. Galarraga found the perfect setting to unleash his offensive power. In his very first season with the new team, he posted an incredible .370 batting average, winning the National League batting title, a surprising feat that silenced critics and reintroduced El Gran Gato as one of baseball's major forces. Galarraga's offensive production with the Rockies was simply astounding. From 1993 to 1997, he was part of the feared Blake Street Bombers, the nickname given to the team's power hitting group that included stars like Larry Walker, Vinny Castilla, and Dante Bichette. Galarraga stood out not only for his home run numbers, but also for his clutch ability to drive in runs in crucial moments. In 1996, he had one of the most memorable seasons of his career, leading all of MLB with 150 RBIs, along with 47 home runs and a constant presence in sport headlines. It was the crowning achievement of a veteran who, after years of highs and lows, had become a true offensive star. Galarraga's technical and emotional peak coincided with the Rockies' rise as a competitive team in the National League. His impact went beyond the numbers. He was the team's moral leader, respected in the clubhouse and idolized by Denver fans, who saw in him not just a lethal hitter, but also a symbol of grit and resilience. In 1997, at 36 years old, he had yet another excellent season, winning the National League batting title for the second time with a .318 average, while also hitting 41 home runs and driving in 140 RBIs. His longevity and consistency during this period were remarkable, proving that he was at his physical and technical peak even at an age many consider past the prime for athletes. During his time with the Rockies, Galarraga was selected for 3 consecutive All-Star games, 1993, 1997, and 1998, and won 2 Silver Slugger Awards, cementing his name among the top hitters of the 1990s. His image became iconic. The wide smile, the powerful swings, and the way he approached every game with passion and intensity won fans all over the league. More than just numbers, he embodied the story of a Latin player who, after facing many trials, achieved stardom. His years in Colorado not only revitalized his career, they defined his legacy as one of the most respected and beloved hitters of his generation. The nickname El Gran Gato, the Big Cat, emerged almost naturally among teammates, coaches, and journalists who followed Andrés Galarraga during the early years of his career. Standing 6 feet 3 inches tall and weighing over 220 pounds, he commanded respect with his size. But what truly surprised people was his impressive agility for someone with such a large frame. At first base, Galarraga moved with lightness and quick reflexes, often making acrobatic plays, diving for tough grounders, and stretching with feline grace to complete tight plays. This combination of raw power with smooth, coordinated movement caught everyone's attention and inspired the nickname that would follow him throughout his career. More than just a reference to his physique and agility, the Big Cat also became a way to celebrate the elegance and intelligence with which Galarraga played the game. Like a watchful feline, he always seemed ready to act at the perfect moment, anticipating plays with sharp game awareness and refined positioning. His demeanor on the field, calm, confident, and precise, further reinforced that image. The nickname, far from being just a term of endearment, became part of his identity, recognized both in Venezuela and in the United States. It was a brand that reflected his unique style, a powerful athlete who was also incredibly agile and skilled, unlike anyone else at his position. The mix of physical strength, undeniable talent, and natural charisma made Andrés Galarraga a true idol among Latin fans in the United States and throughout Latin America. On the field, he was an imposing presence, a giant at first base with a devastating swing and solid defense. But off the field, his wide, contagious smile won the hearts of fans of all ages. Galarraga radiated genuine joy while playing, even in the most difficult situations, and this positive attitude set him apart in a sport known for its pressure and seriousness. He became a point of identification for the Latino community, representing not just athletic success, but also the values of humility, respect, and perseverance. For immigrants and Latino descendants living in the United States, especially during the 1990s, Galarraga was more than just a baseball player. He was a cultural icon. While many athletes faced language barriers and prejudice, Galarraga broke through those walls with charm, professionalism, and tireless work ethic. Always approachable to fans and respectful to the media, he built bridges between cultures, and his success on the field reinforced the idea that Latin athletes not only belonged in MLB, but could also lead and shine at the highest level. His charismatic gestures, like greeting fans warmly or smiling after a home run, became his signature, humanizing the superstar figure and bringing him even closer to the public. Beyond his charisma, Galarraga was also seen as a symbol of resilience and perseverance, especially after beating cancer and returning to the game at a high level. That journey, filled with obstacles and triumphs, only elevated his image as a hero. Latin fans saw in him someone who not only spoke their language, but also faced hardships with courage and faith. His story inspired young people to dream bigger, to persist, and to fight with dignity. For all these reasons, Galarraga transcended statistics and became a lasting icon. A great player, yes, but above all, a great man who never lost his love for the game or his gratitude for being on the field. In 1999, while Andrés Galarraga was experiencing one of the most solid phases of his career with the Atlanta Braves, shocking news hit the baseball world. He had been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, a type of cancer that affects the lymphatic system. The announcement caught everyone by surprise. Galarraga was in excellent shape, coming off productive seasons, and was a key part of the Braves roster, one of the strongest teams of the era. The seriousness of the diagnosis meant he would have to step away from the field and miss the entire 1999 season to focus on treatment. For a competitive and passionate player like him, the news was devastating, but his response was exemplary. With the same fighting spirit he showed on the field, he chose to face the disease with courage, faith, and hope. During his treatment, Galarraga became a symbol of strength, not only for his teammates and fans, but for thousands of people going through similar battles. Even away from the field, he remained in the heart of the sport, receiving messages of support from fans, players, and journalists alike. His optimism and trademark smile never faded. In interviews, he spoke openly about fear, but also emphasized the importance of maintaining a positive attitude in the face of adversity. As he fought the disease with chemotherapy and other intensive treatments, his name continued to be remembered not only for his accomplishments at the plate, but for the inspiring, human way he faced the greatest battle of his life. Galarraga's return to baseball in 2000 was one of the most emotional moments in recent MLB history. Against all odds, he came back in full force, posting excellent numbers and proving he still had plenty to give. His comeback was more than just an athletic achievement. It was a victory for hope and the human spirit. Opposing players applauded him, fans cried with emotion, and the media treated him with the reverence of a true hero. His fight against cancer not only added a dramatic chapter to his career, but also reinforced Galarraga's legacy as a figure who transcended sports, showing that even in the darkest moments, it is possible to rise again with dignity, courage, and love for life. Galarraga's return to baseball in 2000, after beating cancer, was one of the most emotional and symbolic moments in the sport's history. After spending all of 1999 away from the game, battling a lymphoma that threatened his life and career, many doubted he could return at the same level, especially at age 39. But Galarraga defied all expectations. When he once again put on the Atlanta Braves uniform, he was welcomed with standing ovations, hugs from teammates, and an atmosphere filled with emotion. It wasn't just the return of a player. It was the rebirth of a warrior who refused to give up even in the face of the toughest adversity of his life. On the field, Galarraga proved he was still the same big cat, strong, sharp, and clutch. In a full season, he hit 28 home runs and drove in 100 RBIs, showing that the power in his bat remained intact. His offensive performance was crucial to keeping the Braves competitive, and his presence in the clubhouse served as constant inspiration to his teammates. With every hit and every run batted in, he reminded everyone that he was there not just as an athlete, but as a symbol of resilience, faith, and perseverance. In interviews, he made it clear that playing baseball again was a gift, and that every moment on the field now had a new meaning. The 2000 season was, for many, the most beautiful chapter in Galarraga's career. Even without winning any individual awards that year, he achieved something even more valuable: the deep respect of the entire sports world. His triumphant return made international headlines, was featured in documentaries, and inspired not just baseball fans, but anyone facing personal battles. He proved that willpower can be just as powerful as any technical talent. Andrés Galarraga was no longer just a great player. He was now a symbol of humanity and perseverance, someone who showed that true greatness goes far beyond statistics. Over the course of his 19 seasons in Major League Baseball, Andrés Galarraga built a career marked by impressive numbers and a story of resilience that established him as one of the greatest Latin American players of his generation. His 399 home runs, 1,425 RBIs, and .288 career batting average stand as testimony to his consistency and offensive power. Even when facing serious obstacles like injuries and aggressive cancer, Galarraga maintained a high level of performance for nearly 2 decades, playing for teams such as the Montreal Expos, Colorado Rockies, Atlanta Braves, San Francisco Giants, St. Louis Cardinals, and Texas Rangers. His longevity and consistent offensive production are even more impressive considering he missed an entire season due to illness and still nearly reached the symbolic 400 home run mark. Beyond the numbers, Galarraga also collected awards and recognition that reinforce his impact on baseball. He was a 5-time All-Star, proudly and excellently representing the National League, and won 2 Silver Slugger awards given to the best offensive players at each position. Defensively, he was respected for his agility and reliability at first base, often praised for his poise and glove work. His name was always among the most respected by peers and coaches, and he served as a mentor to many younger players, especially those of Latin heritage. Galarraga also played an important role in solidifying the presence of Venezuelan athletes in MLB, paving the way for future generations with his example of professionalism, dedication, and talent. Galarraga's legacy goes far beyond statistics. He will be remembered as a symbol of triumph over adversity, for his victorious battle against cancer and his triumphant return to elite sports. His natural charisma, humility, and love for the game captivated fans wherever he went, especially in Venezuela, where he is considered a national icon. El Gran Gato showed the world that an athlete can be fierce on the field and, at the same time, generous and inspiring off of it. His impact is lasting, not just as one of the great hitters of the 90s, but as a shining example of how courage, joy, and dignity can transform a player's career into a true sports legend. At a time when few Venezuelans had made a name for themselves in MLB, Galarraga broke barriers and proved that athletes from his country could not only compete, but shine at the highest level of baseball. His journey inspired a legion of young players who grew up dreaming of following in his footsteps. Among them, Miguel Cabrera and Jose Altuve, who would go on to become league superstars. More than just stats and titles, Galarraga left behind a legacy that represents an ideal, that it's possible to achieve international success through hard work, passion, and integrity. To this day, he is revered in Venezuela with love and pride, remembered as a national hero who took his country's name to the top of the sports world and who, with his eternal smile and inspiring journey, continues to influence young talent both on and off the field. The trajectory of Andrés Galarraga, with its highs and lows, triumphs and challenges, teaches us that the true meaning of success goes far beyond what's recorded in the stat sheets. He wasn't just one of the best hitters of his era. He was also an example of resilience, courage, and humanity. His story is a powerful reminder that obstacles are part of the journey, but they do not define the end. For Galarraga, moments of adversity, whether striving for a place in MLB or battling cancer, were not reasons to give up, but rather to reinvent himself, fight, and start again. His career was built not only with a sharp bat, but with a steady heart and an unbreakable will to never give in. When we look at Galarraga's life, we see that sports can reflect the greatest lessons in life. His story reminds us that regardless of our origin, age, or the difficulties we face, each of us has the capacity to overcome adversity and reach new horizons. El Gran Gato didn't begin his journey as a surefire star, but through hard work and perseverance, he became a global icon. He was a trailblazer for many other Latin players, showing that with dedication, any obstacle can be turned into opportunity. His path demonstrates how baseball, more than just a game, can be a platform for transformation and inspiration. Cancer was undoubtedly the most challenging test Galarraga ever faced, but the way he handled the illness made his story even more powerful. His decision to fight and return to baseball with the same energy and passion as before wasn't just proof of his athletic ability, but also a declaration that inner strength is just as vital as physical talent. By making his triumphant comeback in 2000, he not only achieved physical recovery, but also cemented his place as a true hero. His victory over illness is a testament that a positive mindset and determination can break through the toughest barriers, whether on a baseball field or in any area of life. Even today, Galarraga's legacy remains an endless source of inspiration for those fighting for their dreams. He is living proof that success doesn't come without challenges, but with the right attitude, persistence, and focus, every challenge can be overcome. With each game, each home run, each RBI, Galarraga reminded us that what matters most isn't what happens around us, but what we choose to do with what life gives us. He showed us that it's possible to be great not only through strength, but by maintaining faith and joy even when things seem impossible. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more fascinating content, and turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon. And don't forget to leave a comment. Finally, the story of Andrés Galarraga is a celebration of life, of the passion for sport, and of the power of the human spirit. He teaches us that the greatest victories are not only those won on the field, but those we achieve within ourselves, when we choose to overcome our limitations and move forward despite the odds. Galarraga not only earned the respect of his peers and the adoration of fans, but also left behind a legacy that transcends baseball. His story is a reminder to all of us that even in the face of adversity, we can find strength, inspiration, and above all, the ability to be reborn. He remains, without a doubt, an icon not only of baseball, but of human strength in its purest and most beautiful form. Until the next journey, dear baseball-loving friends,